All right, let's get to the phones. Remember, Rob Manfred, the commissioner, at 4, Eli Manning at 5. And I'll get to the college football, which is in chaos right now. And how about the Schiano thing? They were about to hire Schiano. They had come to an agreement. They had actually already, and there were already announcements released that he was getting the job. And then there was such a outburst on campus and on social media on campus that this guy cannot, with his connections to Penn State, cannot be allowed to come here. And the politicians jumped in and said, we don't want him. He's the highest paid employee in the state. He cannot come here. And they rescinded the offer to Schiano. What a crazy situation. They rescinded the offer. Wow. Tony in New Haven starts us off. What's up, Tony?
Hey, Mike, first, in my opinion, when you leave, you're going out on top. There's not even a close second.
Thank you very much.
The Jets quarterback, I'm a really long-suffering Jets fan. And then when I look at these games and I see all these great quarterbacks, especially the young quarterbacks, I'm saying to myself, it seems to me in the last 20 years, the Jets have not had a really good quarterback. And I'm wondering, going forward, what hope do we have that, is it because of a lack of opportunity or incompetence?
Well, I think it's a lot of things.
What hope do we have that we're going to get a good quarterback?
I think sometimes it's the luck of the draw. They went out and they grabbed Favre. They had Chad Pennington, then he came down with a bad arm. He wasn't a bad quarterback. I mean, they've had, guys in and out, but it's really the hardest thing for a franchise to do is to find that guy. And if you're lucky enough to do it, and you can ever connect 2 in a row, like they have in Green Bay with Favre in the Aaron Rodgers, or what they've done in Indianapolis, not this year aside, what they've done in Indianapolis with Luck before following Manning. I mean, it's just, very fortunate for a lot of franchises. San Francisco, as an example, which had Montana and Young, has gone through 18 quarterbacks. I believe the number was 18 since Eli came in the league. 18 different quarterbacks since Eli's been the quarterback. And late in the game yesterday, as a matter of fact, they put in a kid who threw a touchdown pass for him. They put Garoppolo in the game. And he threw a late touchdown pass, and that's the first of many. That's what that is. They got their quarterback. Mike in Parsippany. What's up, Mike?
Hello, Mike. How are you?
What's happening?
Before I ask my question, I want to say thank you for everything, all your knowledge and all your great shows. I know your time is running short. It's going to be hard to get through.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Who's ever in charge of all this and let you go has got to be an idiot. But I'll let that go.
No, listen, I decided to leave. That's not anybody's fault. So, but thank you.
But they shouldn't let you go anyway. Anyway, Mike, I know Zeke is out, but what happened to that offense? Can you tell me, please? Thanks, Michael.
Elliott's a part of it. They have had injuries to both Smith at tackle and now Zach Martin at right guard. But more than anything else, and I tried to tell you folks this for 2 years, when Prescott was going to be put in second and longs and third and longs after spending 2 years on second and twos and third and twos, you were going to see a different quarterback. And what you've seen is a different offense and a different quarterback. And it's as simple as that. It's a completely different world, and it's not working. And there, just to show you, there's an old adage that a lot of big coaches use. They'll always tell you it's never the player's fault. Do you know now the players are – Jerry Jones has given the head coach a vote of confidence. The players are attacking the head coach, that he doesn't provide enough discipline. He doesn't give enough adjustments. So here is a coach who is good to these players who want to run him out because they'll never admit it's their fault. And you have the players there mutinying against one of the nicer guys you would ever meet. Now, is he the best coach? No. But they're actually, it's not the owner doing it, it's the players doing it because they'll never admit it's their fault. Never look in the mirror. Bob in Jersey, what's up, Bob?
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
What's happening?
Good. Hey, you know what? As far as the Jets, a lot's been made about this 3 passes from the first 1 yard line. And, whatever you think of that, actually 2 of them worked because the third down pass, McCowan had Forte like wide open, and he just like.
Well, one worked. The other two didn't work. I mean, one worked. They got it overruled. One worked. But hey, listen.
But the last one,
the easiest thing to do. The easiest thing to do is just run one into the line so that you placate the fan base. I mean, if that's what you want. Listen, when a play is a touchdown and then it's overruled, I'm not going to go back and go crazy on those 3 plays when the one is already resulted in a touchdown. So I'm not going to do that. But if you want them to run into the line, go ahead. I mean, that's okay. They can do that too. So then you placate everybody. If you're running on first down, then pass it on second, third, no one says a word. If that's the idea, you could do that. Nick in Tom's River. What's up, Nick?
Hey, Mike. How you doing? Good. Quick question. This whole thing with Greg Schiano, and it wouldn't, except for the fact that he was at Rutgers, I probably wouldn't really care that much. But if they were going to hire him, and now they're not hiring him.
They're not hiring him. They said he was there. He was part of. He knew this happened. He had a connection, and we don't want to have anybody who's tainted by anything that went on at Penn State. And it's unbelievable. I was thinking, how does he ever get around this now? I mean, how does any other school ever take him when Tennessee's done this? I mean, I don't see how he did it. He does have that in his background. Now, he has claimed that he knew nothing about it, and I don't know what he knew or didn't know because I have no idea. But I don't know how, after you see this outburst, I don't know how you're ever going to hire the guy now.
Yeah, it's interesting. You would have thought Ohio State would have covered all these bases because it is Ohio State.
Well, he's not a head coach, though. It's a lot easier when you're not the face. See, the problem is when you're at a place like Tennessee, you're the highest paid state employee in the state. You're the most visible person in the state. It's a very public job. If you're an assistant coach somewhere, no one ever sees you. I mean, you can be an assistant coach anywhere. No one sees you. When you're the head coach, though, at these universities, you're the highest paid employee in that state. And you are more as visible as in those states. The head coach at those universities, a football coach at Tennessee, at Alabama, at Mississippi, etc., is the most visible person in the state. Nobody's more visible. Not the governor. Nobody is more visible. Biggest figure in the state of Alabama is Nick Saban. And as soon as you're the head coach, doesn't even have to be a good one. You're the guy who's the most visible. Steve in Bridgeport. What's up, Steve?
Yeah, hi, Mike. Thanks for taking my call. I agree with you on Schiano. I mean, it's a shame. He's going to have a really hard time.
I think it's going to be impossible after what I saw this outburst. I think it's going to be impossible for him.
I agree. That wasn't the reason I called, but I agree with you, Mike, and thanks for taking my call.
Yeah.
I just want to make one comment concerning Alabama and Auburn. I like Alabama. I've followed them for many, many years. I don't think they deserve to be in the playoffs as of right now. I'm realistic that way. But at the same time, there are people out there who are saying they play Mercer, they don't play anybody. And I just want people to know.
That's ridiculous. I mean, listen, anybody who plays in the SEC, that's the dumbest thing in the world, okay? I mean, that's just the dumbest thing in the entire world. They play as tough a schedule as anybody plays. That's nonsense. But here's why Alabama belongs in this.
Right.
Here's why they belong. And here's what I'll use. I'll use something that they'll never use. A neutral field.
Yes.
Alabama against any team in the country is the favorite. If I have a team that there's no question that any team I'm going to line up in that playoff, and I'm going to tell you universally, unanimously, that team is favored over any other team on a neutral field, no matter who the team is. Clemson, Alabama, Alabama's favored. Wisconsin, Alabama, Alabama's favorite. Ohio State, Alabama, Alabama's favorite. Georgia, Auburn, whoever it is, Alabama is the favorite. That's why Alabama goes. In my mind, that's why Alabama should go. Now, this is going to be a very interesting process they're going to go through here. I understand it's taking two teams from one conference. I understand you have to take the Georgia-Auburn winner. The Georgia-Auburn winners earned it. They've earned it. So they go. I don't have a problem with that. No way do I have a problem with that. But you can't tell me that you aren't going to take a one-loss Alabama over some of these two-loss teams. So This is going to be very interesting about the process of not coming through the conference championship and what that means to this process. This is going to be a highly charged political year now because I agree with Saban. And I'd like to say Alabama doesn't belong because they're there all the time, but Alabama belongs. If they had 2 losses, I'd say no chance. Even though my thing would still hold up where they'd still be favored over any team, 2 losses, no, you're out. 1 loss, though, to me, Alabama needs to go. And I'll tell you this right now. There is not a chance in the world if Wisconsin wins that they're not going. Anybody who thinks that because of their schedule, Wisconsin, off a win against Ohio State and an unbeaten season, is not going after they've already beaten Michigan, are you out of your mind? They're going. That's not even a question. They're going.